Greetings fellow gamers and welcome to another video. I'm sure we have all had some rare instances of a piece of media going above and beyond the qualities and expectations of their respective fields. I have certainly had a few of these moments occur to me. For anime, it was Fullmetal Alchemist. For movies, it was Whiplash. Cartoons, Avatar: The Last Airbender. And for video games, that game for me is a little gem known as Xenoblade Chronicles. Xenoblade Chronicles is not only universally acclaimed from critics and fans alike, but it's so popular that it managed to get a character from that game in Super Smash Bros., received 2 new entries on the Wii U and Nintendo Switch, a port on the new 3DS, and a remaster of this game on the Switch as well. So, how did this one game manage to develop into a franchise which now has 2 Smash reps? I'll tell you why. Because Xenoblade Chronicles is an amazing, endearing, near-flawless video game. So let us take a look at this absolute masterpiece of programming, Xenoblade Chronicles. First up, a little history lesson. Xenoblade Chronicles is an action RPG developed by Monolith Soft, the same developers behind the Baten Kaitos games, and was first released on the Nintendo Wii in 2010 in Japan and later on in North America and Europe. Upon its release, the game was met with phenomenal praise as critics and fans adored it and was a massive hit in both Japan and Europe. And after so much fan demand to release it to North America, they launched the Operation Rainfall campaign to bring it, along with Pandora's Tower and The Last Story, 2 other action RPGs for the Wii, over to the West. And my god am I glad that was successful, since Xenoblade Chronicles stands as one of my favorite video games of all time. But why exactly? Let's start with the story. Xenoblade Chronicles takes place in a universe where 2 Titan Goliaths known as the Bionis and Mechonis fought in an intense, earth-shattering battle that left them frozen in place for centuries, as several races of people, creatures, and other beings now make these Titans their home. Our story here revolves around Shulk, a weapons researcher and developer on Colony 9. After a heaping dose of backstory and talking with his friends Fiora and Rhine,
now it's Rhine time!
He discovers that the colony is attacked by a horde of Mechon. And while they attempt to defeat the Mechon to no avail, the war hero Dunban appears with a legendary Monado in hand, the sword that is capable of killing the Mechon. After Dunban's war injuries get to him, Shulk leaps and grabs the Monado and almost single-handedly drives away the Mechon, but at a very heavy cost. So Shulk and Rhine go on a quest to destroy the Mechon for what they've done. Now, when you look at it at a first glance, this story doesn't sound special at all. A young boy with a legendary weapon destined to destroy his enemies with his best friend? Yeah, totally original game. But the way this story is told is just so beautifully done and unironically relatable to our own lives. The way the story goes in establishing its world and the themes and ideas explored in the narrative is all really interesting stuff and is exceptionally well written. Plus, every component used builds upon and adds on to the story, and isn't just an idea forcefully added on in the last minute. Isn't that right, Kingdom Hearts?
You are an absolute disgrace!
As Shulk and Rhine go further and further on their journey, their reasons for why they are doing this become more complex, as many themes start coming into play including revenge, prejudice against races, changing the course of one's destiny, and of course the moral gray when it comes to a full-scale war. What I love about Xenoblade's story is while all of this may seem a lot to take in, the game only focuses on what it needs to at the necessary moment. No needless exposition or something pulled out of left field that pushes the plot forward. Every event that occurs naturally progresses the narrative and happens for a reason. It's simple enough to understand and relate to, but the abundance of themes and ideologies make the game a whole lot more rich and meaningful, and this amount of depth extends to the characters too. The cast of Xenoblade Chronicles is one of the most vibrant, wonderful, and compelling I've ever seen in an RPG. Even the side characters are given just the right amount of screen time. Mind you, these aren't just one-and-done side characters. Everyone serves a purpose, whether it be the bitter, war-torn Otharon, the wise and calculated Alvis, or the wonderfully malicious Metalface. They are all their own person, and this is best exemplified in the main cast. Naturally, they get the most screen time and character development, so it only makes sense that they get the most time in the spotlight. However, despite Shulk being the main character, he isn't the only one that changes throughout the story. They all do. Each party member has a substantial impact on the story and their own arc they go through, which is made relevant by how much they interact with each other and how sincere they are when they continue to grow and evolve. whether in cutscenes or heart-to-hearts, which are basically Fire Emblem support conversations, but no one can marry or have kids. So no, this isn't Waifu Chronicles. We can only keep the one trademark, so keep it that way.
You're so cute.
Because the characters and interactions themselves are so engaging, I easily connected with all these characters, as I wanted to go on this journey with them and see them get through every dilemma that landed in their path. And while you may not like all of them, I'm a little indifferent to Sharla, I'm confident saying that there will be one character that could easily warm your heart, which for me was Melia. These were not tropes, or cliches, or one-note blank slates. These were people. Overall, the tale and characters in Xenoblade Chronicles will last a lifetime, as they are full of depth, complexity, charm, and is an overall satisfying experience. Now, this is a video game at the end of the day, and what good is a story if you don't have fun gameplay to go with it? A phrase the Mega Man X franchise decided to take way too seriously for the worst. Xenoblade Chronicles, at its core, is your typical JRPG, exploring vast locations, fighting increasingly difficult enemies, leveling up and learning new skills, managing equipment, side quests, you know, the usual. But Xenoblade Chronicles brings some things to the table that set it apart from most JRPGs. For starters, encounters with enemies happen in real time instead of randomly, allowing players more freedom with who they want to fight, and you don't get bogged down by enemies you have no intention of fighting, much like Chrono Trigger. You can also move around freely and attack enemies from different angles during battle, which leads me to the battle mechanics. The mechanics in question is an auto-attack system, where the characters will perform their basic attacks automatically during a battle. You ever play Final Fantasy XII? Same idea. However, I feel it is more polished here and allows for more options to strategize, which come in the form of character arcs. I see you, game. Taking on MMORPG elements too, huh? These character arcs are not only diverse special attacks that each party member has, but some are designed to be used when faced in specific directions and can contain additional effects such as break, sleep, topple, daze, and so on. For example, Shulk's backslash deals double damage when attacking from behind, and Dunban's electric gutbuster inflicts break if used after he uses Gale Slash, which can lead to a topple attack such as Ryan's Wild Down.
Wild down! Ha!
No, Ryan, now's not the time to use that. The possibilities are endless on how you want to strategize in battle, as you constantly have to think about your placement and using your arts at the right place at the right time. This also makes sure that every single party member is a viable option, regardless of which combination of characters are used, with some being better than others of course, so it's a good idea to experiment with all party members to see who fits your playstyle. Then there's the chain attack system, where all three party members can perform their arts one after another for massive damage, especially if you chain the same types of arts together. Oh yeah, and also, automatic recovery after battles! Imagine a Pokemon or Final Fantasy allowed you to automatically heal and recover power points or MP without items or abilities. Maybe Nurse Joy would be a little more friendly on her time off, and also not hoarding tons of items for healing and recovering MP. There's also the addition of a day-night cycle. This affects in-game quests, enemies, any items you discover in this world, and so on and so forth. I like this addition, as it not only affects quests and enemies, but it makes you feel more immersive that you're going on this long journey with all these characters. But by and large, the biggest mechanic this game has are visions. By wielding the Monado, Shulk is able to see into the near future. These visions pop up whenever an enemy is to perform a strong attack. Visions show off what attack is coming, who it's being aimed at, and any additional effect that may occur. But knowing is only half the battle. You need to make sure to pick the right way to deal with the upcoming threat, and act upon it as fast as you can. Xenoblade Chronicles does a great job at making battles feel more exciting and streamlined, as it avoids a lot of the most annoying tropes in most RPGs, like getting party members either too OP or too useless, mashing the attack button, and running away from foes that just aren't up to your level or you have no intention of fighting them. But whenever these guys and gals in this volleyball aren't partaking in any battles, this game feels a lot like an adventure game. This game's world is simply breathtaking and is massive. There is a huge emphasis on exploration as you seek out new areas by traveling all over the Bionis and Mechonis. Yes, even right up its ass.
What?
Each area you encounter not only is enormous and looks gorgeous with so much detail, but they always give off a brand new feeling as they all offer something different to spice things up. The auroras of Satoral Marsh, the beauty of Valak Mountain, to the mechanical workings of Agniratha. Also, don't be so surprised that on your first, second, or 5th playthrough, you won't have enough time to see everything the game has to offer, as you'll always find something new on your next playthrough, and that's the beauty of these worlds. And the best part about exploration? Discovering new landmarks can give experience points, preventing any kind of tedious level grinding. Thank you! It's honestly amazing how much content was able to be packed into this game, as I played through every version of this game to date multiple times, and I still have yet to find everything or complete all the side quests. However, all of this comes at a cost. Xenoblade Chronicles, graphically speaking, well, it's a little lacking. Now in this game's defense, it is an enormous game that released on the Wii, and while there have been some truly amazing looking games for the system such as Super Mario Galaxy, Okami, and Metroid Prime 3, the little guy can only take so much, so naturally, this game wouldn't exactly look all shiny. And this is easily shown in the character models. Look at their low polygon count and just how everything looks so jagged. I personally don't think it's that much of a distraction, as I think it gives this game more of a personality than some of the most graphically intensive games at the time, Final Fantasy XIII. I also appreciate the art style, as it likes to be a petty thief and take the best aspects of both Western and Japanese RPGs. I mean this in the best way possible. I am not shitting on this one-of-a-kind art style. For example, things like the Bionis and Mechonis, the Monado, the High Entia race, and the final boss look very similar to what you see in a Final Fantasy or Tales game. On the other hand, certain Homs characters, the enemies, and places like Colony 9 and 6 look very Western and similar to what you see out of a Fable or Dragon Age game. But of course, presentation isn't always about what you see, but also what you hear. Oh man, the music for this game is absolutely glorious! If there is one aspect of this game that anyone would go nuts over, it's without a doubt the soundtrack. This musical score consists of some varied, impactful, memorable, and downright awesome pieces of music I have ever listened to. Not to mention that the OST brings together some of the biggest names in the business. Pardon me if I mispronounce some of these names. Tomori Kudo, Hiroyo Yamanaka, Manami Kiyota, Kenji Uramatsu, Yoko Shimomura, and Yasunori Mitsuda. With the load of talent on display, there are over 90 songs in this soundtrack, and my god, is it all perfectly suited for this game. Each song fits every single corresponding moment present to a T, and adds ton of emotion, power, and meaning to every situation. That last point really applies to the battle themes. These themes in particular are some of my favorite tunes in gaming history. Time to fight, an obstacle on our path, mechanical rhythm, engaging the enemy, unfinished business, and of course, you will know our names. God, I love this game. In case if it hasn't been inserted into your skull by now, I love Xenoblade Chronicles. It's one of my favorite games of all time. The level of detail in the story, characters, world, and music are just so immense, and even the little things like the sheer number of side quests extending your playtime, New Game Plus, gem crafting, heart-to-hearts, skill trees, all those British voice actors, and so on, just add on to this already fantastic dish to create a divine meal. Of course, the game isn't perfect, and I certainly have some nitpicks, like how near the end of the game there was a bit of an enemy level spike and it killed the pace a bit, and that I'm not the biggest fan of the no-pawns, as they can be the slightest bit annoying for me. But again, they're just nitpicks, and never brought down my time playing this game. It exemplifies everything great about RPGs and adds on and incorporates new elements that affected my entire experience for the better. This game is a masterpiece. Although, when you really think about it, masterpieces are games that are able to innovate, set, or go beyond the standard of their respective genre or field. Xenoblade Chronicles doesn't really do this, because while all these aspects are fantastic, you can arguably claim that some games have done just as good, if not better, even those from the same genre. I've honestly seen games with more impactful and refined stories, games with more endearing and engaging characters, games that have achieved intense graphical capabilities with even more limitations or have more visually distinct art styles, games that have a more superior soundtrack even though it's very few, games that are just more fun or left more of an impact on me, and even games that gave you even much more to offer or have given me more of an incentive to play through them again. Hell, this game isn't even in my top 10 favorite games of all time. I mean, it used to, but after looking at the bigger picture, some of my favorite games of all time just do more of all these aspects better than Xenoblade in my opinion. So, why was everyone calling this game a masterpiece? Well, I think I know why. I'm not sure who will be able to relate to what I'm about to say, but how many times have you played through a game that was such an amazing time from start to finish and was always such a fun ride? There's always something holding it back. Something that puts a damper on your experience with those little blemishes that leave a dirty taste in your mouth. Take Ocarina of Time for example, a game that set the standard for the rest of the Zelda series and adventure genre to follow, and is often regarded as one of the greatest games ever made. But sweet lord, this game did not age well in terms of looks, and the water temple sucks ass. What about Resident Evil 4? Arguably the most ported video game ever and is a universally acclaimed game that changed the survival horror genre forever? Well, there is some rather out-of-place goofy dialogue, Ashley can go die in a fire, and quick-time events that can eat the entire ass. This can even apply to some of my favorite games of all time. Pokemon Black and White made the feeling of gotta catch 'em all feel fun again with a more grounded and compelling story, but some gym leaders have annoying fights and the post-game is pitiful. Chrono Trigger gave us a fun and exciting battle system for an old-school JRPG with a great time travel story, solid characters, some of the best graphics and music on the entire Super Nintendo, and was the very first game to give us New Game Plus. But the final boss was very disappointing and some characters I wasn't invested in as much as others. Even my favorite game of all time, Fire Emblem Three Houses, is filled to the brim with flaws and so many questionable choices that even I have to shake my head at. This really isn't a problem in Xenoblade Chronicles. No time during this game did I ever say, I don't like playing as this character, or this plot point makes no sense, or this feature was absolutely unnecessary. This game is the embodiment of polish and harmony. What else could I possibly say that could justify my love for this game? I mean, I could, but I don't want to sound like a broken record. Xenoblade Chronicles is phenomenal. It offers some of the best of the RPG genre and adds in some unique elements to help make it stand out. The story is memorable, the characters are incredible, the gameplay is fun, exciting, and amazingly executed, the music is godlike, and the graphics, while sort of lacking, is truly one of a kind. This is one of the few games I could recommend to any gamer out there. It's available on the Wii, 3DS, Wii U Virtual Console, and Switch, so go check it out. It is truly worthy of the title of Masterpiece. This has been Kdog. I hope you all have a great day, and I hope you enjoyed my first video game review. And next time I return, a new challenger approaches to help me out with a beloved classic from the 90s. Hey everyone, Kdog here. If you enjoyed the video, please give it a like, comment, subscribe to my channel, and be sure to share the video around. You can also check out my Twitter, and consider donating to my Patreon to help support the channel and make these videos possible. Anyways, that's it for me. I'll see you all next time. Kdog signing out.
It's not a